What's up?
Hey,
How are you?
great. I just grooving to our sexy dentist office waiting room music.
I did not pick that. That was all Jess.
No, it wasn't me either. I actually really like it. So, Ness, who did pick it, we like it, but it's a vibe.
Did it?
Raging Perspective, it's
Woo!
Wednesday at noon. It's us. Jessica Tarlov.
Aaron Parnas, welcome back. If you haven't subscribed yet to both of our Substacks, make sure to do that. Top left corner right over there. Or the YouTube, if
And
that's where you're watching, which is...
yeah, we're live everywhere. And ask questions, drop them into the chat. I think it's still the same rule that you have to be subscribed for like a minute or two on YouTube to be able to ask a question. Don't make it dirty or nasty. We don't like that. We won't answer it. Those are my rules. Maybe Aaron wants to, but I get so many dirty comments that I'm not today, not a day for it. But it is a day for talking about the war in Iran. See what I did there? Okay. So
Great.
Transitions are hard like that,
Yes.
like to make it naturally flow. And
Totally.
one day when I grow up, I'll be good at it. Okay. Big day on the Hill yesterday. The Pentagon is quote unquote facing an urgent budget shortfall. They should not have a budget shortfall. What is it? Like a 1.5 trillion budget that they are proposing for next year. They already got 1.1 trillion. The war has cost, according to Secretary Hegseth, 37.5 billion thus far. Legit estimates are like 120 billion from Moody's. It was laughable. That felt like what dinner cost, essentially, compared to what the war has cost us. But anyway, I'm going to try to take it seriously for now. He was answering questions. Let's listen to a clip.
Secretary Hegseth, if you listen to my comments, you would have heard me say how amazing our warfighters are.
I heard failure. The word heard. I heard exactly
I will
what you
tell you how I use the word failure, because I use the word failure to their leaders. You, sir, are the failure. When will you show leadership?
We have leadership.
When will you show leadership?
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful.
How do you seriously use TDS on a sitting senator? Also, it is very hard to get Gary Peters angry. Like, I don't think I've seen Gary Peters angry before.
No, neither have I. And I'm honestly so over Pete Hegseth being...
Were you under Pete Hegseth?
No, I mean, listen, I just, it's a show. It really is a show. And I don't know if you saw this, but literally right before we went live, Trump was asked what he thought about the fallen service members as he was leaving Dover. And he goes, they told everyone Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And I'm just like, it's funny. It's funny, but it's scary. We have people leading our military at a time where we are in a quagmire in the Middle East, a war that is not going to end. Someone asked me when I thought it was going to end. I don't think it's going to end until after Trump leaves office, because Trump doesn't have a way out. The Iranians don't want to give him a way out. The Iranians have all the leverage here. The Ayatollah isn't facing re-election, right? Like Iran's parliament isn't going to be having elections anytime soon. The American president has elections coming up in a few months, and so it's a complete mess. And the people leading the charge are just, to me, one word: incompetent.
Yeah, I think I would add in corrupt too, because you better believe that some of that money that we've already appropriated has been spent on contracts that are going to
Yeah.
like Eric and Don Jr.'s companies, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, you name it. If you have access to Donald Trump, you're probably getting richer during this administration. I thought his comments about the fallen soldiers were terrible. Like, obviously, a 19-year-old private wasn't calling home and saying, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. They wanted to serve our country and had faith in the decisions that our leadership was making. He also was super weird when he was saying, I'm going to tell the parents, I love your child. We love your child. I don't know. He just gives like super creepy vibes. I thought that the questioning of Pete Hegseth and General Kane was interesting on a bipartisan level. So obviously Democrats were going really hard about this and trying to get them to pay attention to the line items, like how much money had already been spent, and also how many times, especially Pete, went on camera and said our goals have been achieved, or that the military has been completely obliterated. But Senator Kennedy in particular on the Republican side was not having it. And not just from Pete. He was really frustrated with General Kane too, who I think we would be much better served if he was the Secretary of Defense instead of Hegseth. I am in the positive column, and I don't know if you noticed this, but every time that General Kane comes out to speak, if he's testifying on the Hill or he does a press briefing, he's always so lovely about the fallen. And he just reeks of professionalism in that way. And you can tell that he really is like a career guy who cares. And I think that, the split screen versus, how amped up and rude, frankly, Pete gets versus that is something to pay attention to. But what did you make of the fact that, someone like Senator Kennedy was yelling at General Kane, guys, we need straight answers?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was really important. I mean, I think it's important to see Republicans coming out and saying this isn't right as well, or something. It doesn't pass the smell test. I think we need more Republicans willing to do that, not just Kennedy. Which Kennedy, for all of his faults, I mean, he has consistently done this, right? It's not just with Hegseth. If you look at hearing after hearing, Kennedy actually goes after Republicans. He set
Well,
Kristi
he got
Noem
rid of
up.
Kristi Noem. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like he's the one, and so I would say go forth and conquer, Senator. I think more Republicans need to do it, and I think what we're seeing right now is a transition in this administration from a president who just took office to a president who's becoming a lame duck. And I think Republicans on Capitol Hill are realizing that they want longer political futures and political careers than those currently serving in the White House. And the only way to do that is to distance themselves from those serving in the White House. And I think that's part of what Kennedy's doing, even though he can be there for as long as he wants, given that he's in Louisiana. But at the same time, I think you're going to see more Republicans come out and break from Trump.
Does that mean that you think that the supplemental funding is not going to get through?
Oh, no, I think it'll pass because they'll get
Okay.
in line. They always do.
Well, I didn't. Well, yeah, but you were like optimistic in the sentence before about pushing
No,
back.
I mean, yeah, listen, it's a tough thing, right? At the end of the day, Kennedy wants to fund the Pentagon. That's not like, this isn't him saying he's not going to fund the Pentagon. It's him pressing Hegseth kind of on his faults more so than, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kennedy's like, I want Hegseth gone rather than I don't want to fund the Pentagon.
That would be interesting. It would be more of
Maybe
like
he
a
can go back to
Tom
Fox.
Tillis. I don't think it's an open door policy under these circumstances. I am not in charge of programming. I don't know what I would do if I were in charge of programming. It would be wild over there.
I would pay a lot of money to see him sit next to you on the 5 regularly.
I don't think he wants that. I think that we have crossed a Rubicon at this point. And there's really no turning back from it. I want to talk about apparently it being like all well and good to help Saudi build a nuclear program. But before I do, Susan Collins. So Susan Collins is chair of the Appropriations Committee. She was leading this hearing. Two things that stuck out to me. One, she was very shaky, like literally very shaky, which she has spoken about that she has some kind of palsy, but she seemed much older to me than, when she gets caught in the hallway, right? And someone asks her, what do you think about X, Y, or Z things? And she says she's, deeply concerned or disturbed. And I was thinking about the contrast with Troy Jackson, for the upcoming Senate race. And I don't know, it stuck out to me that she seemed like a real part of the gerontocracy for the first time to me.
I mean, it's not surprising. She's been in office for
She's 76.
longer than I've been alive, right?
Enough with this longer than you've been alive,
I mean,
okay?
it's true.
Yes.
I think that if you took office in the 90s, you should not be in office in the 2020s. That's just my philosophy on it. And so Susan Collins should kind of stick to her pledge of not running for more than 2 terms, which was what she pledged to Maine voters back in the 90s. And then here we are.
Before you were born. Okay, the second thing was there is a picture which has gotten a lot of traction around social media of her shaking hands with Pete, which is understandable, but it did feel like the kind of photo that will be haunting for her as, the Democrats really mount this campaign against her as being, out of touch, supporting Trump 95% of the time, voting to advance the big, beautiful bill with the huge Medicaid cuts, the $70 billion for ICE. Did you see the picture, and do you think that it will be bad for her?
I don't think this is going to haunt her.
It's fine.
No, I don't. I mean, I think there's so many. I think that the only reason Susan Collins loses, in my opinion, is the Brett Kavanaugh vote. That is the only reason that she will lose. If she doesn't lose, it's because she's in a way undefeatable in Maine, which we've seen historically. I think the Brett Kavanaugh vote is what's going to do her in, though. Not a picture.
Okay. I think the ICE funding. I'm putting that on my list.
Okay.
You're welcome. Saudi. We just inked a landmark deal with the kingdom that allows them to have a civilian nuclear program and potentially opens the door to uranium enrichment in the kingdom's territory. It's a 30-year deal worth tens of billions of dollars. American companies, of course, will have a central role in building their program. Where do you come down on this deal? Before I tell you mine.
I want to know what the Trump family got in exchange for this.
I mean,
that's where I come down. Like, what did they get, and what are they getting because of this? Listen, at the end of the day, I want less nuclearization, not more nuclearization. And if this opens the door to Saudi Arabia one day having a nuclear weapon, I have a problem with that. I think we should try to denuclearize across the world. And I think this is just an example. You know what I'm kind of surprised about? I'm surprised Israel allowed this, right? I'm surprised that Bibi isn't like up Trump's ass screaming and yelling over this, because right now the only nuclear power in that region is Israel, whether or not they want to admit it. Having the Saudis get a nuclear weapon potentially in the next 30 years, that's problematic for the Israelis too.
Yeah, I'm sure that the emphasis was on the slow walking, and this is about the civilian program. But I saw floating around, I think the Wall Street Journal and the FT had it, that in 2018, the Crown Prince said, well, if Iran has a nuclear weapon, then we get to have one. And you can see how this could become a bit of a domino effect. Yeah. So yes, the grift and the corruption of it all. But more nuclear weapons. I'm not talking about a civilian program. I think that we have to get realistic about the importance of nuclear energy, and also how much oil will be freed up if they can move in this direction. If it is American companies that are not owned by people in the Trump administration, then for people being able to do business. But it seems a little bit scary to be authorizing something like this.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're going to authorize this for the Saudis, I would give it to the Koreans as well. Let South Korea have a similar program, right? Like, they're more of an ally to us, in my opinion, and more important in the Indo-Pacific region than the Saudis are to us in the Middle East. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of kind of, I feel like, backroom deals that we won't know about until ProPublica publishes a report in a year from now.
ProPublica, where are you? Can you be here by the Raging
They're working on it.
Perspective next Wednesday? I'm sure they are. It's so great when it comes out. I mean, it's always harrowing because they're exposing something totally terrible. But get to work on that. Now I want to talk about the SAVE Act. They're trying to revive it again. The Republicans, the House is expected to vote today on a GOP-led stock trading ban that's also tied to advancing parts of Trump's Save America Act because he just shoehorns it into absolutely everything. Here's House Majority Leader Steve Scalise on why Republicans say the bill matters.
When you think about something like Save America, which is at the heart of democracy, just saying, show picture ID to vote. For God's sake, you can't go get pasta at Olive Garden without a picture ID. Why not be able to show a picture ID to vote? The franchise of American democracy, and the Senate can't get 60 votes to move it.
The Olive Garden talking point, who sent it out? Because I saw it then everywhere, like Virginia Fox, Steve Scalise, and then all these influencers. Is that even true? Do you need a picture ID for the Never Ending Pasta Bowl?
Yes, it's true. You do need a picture ID
Okay.
for Never Ending. Yes, but I don't know. I mean, what are we doing?
I haven't had it.
Like
The
I
bowl.
love Olive Garden. I really do. Can we not bring
Really?
Olive Garden into like political madness? Like first Taco Bell, now Olive Garden. Can we just
Taco Bell, I think, brought itself in, though
Let-
now.
No, it's that's all corruption. Taylor Farms, Trump, all of that.
And it was only $1 million, right? To pay him off for it?
That we know of. Could eventually be more.
They're
don't know.
part of the Saudi nuclear program. Now you're going to see like Taylor Farms on the side of a nuclear warhead.
Exactly.
Okay, so the Save America Act, it's not happening. And I thought for our subscribers, listeners, all the people who are here, go check out Lisa Murkowski's op-ed on the Save America Act in the Wall Street Journal, which breaks down why in this current form it is absolutely unpassable. And I'm probably a broken record to many of you who consume my content, but the Save America Act is not a voter ID bill. It is a citizenship bill. It is asking for your passport or your birth certificate. The idea that it's the pasta bowl or voting is absolutely ludicrous. They sound really stupid and are going to waste a lot of time and capital on this. I don't know if you saw, John Thune is basically like, I'm not touching this shit, essentially. Like, and I want to work with Democrats on a reconciliation bill. Like, he knows that there is no path forward now for these, one party bills to get through. So I don't know how quickly do you think Trump drops this, or like what actually happens to it?
What I think is going to end up happening is they're going to throw in some language that passes vet in this reconciliation package, not the full SAVE Act, but like parts of the SAVE Act here or there. And then I think Trump will just go along with it. That's option one. But the real thing, what I really think is happening here is I think Trump is pushing this so hard and that it's failing so much so that he can then claim, oh, we lost in November because you guys didn't do your job. And this is why we need the SAVE Act or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like he's gonna try to use it to claim fraud or election denialism. Like it's all setting the stage for that.
Well, he drops fraud claims actually pretty quickly. Can you believe that we've already gone back on China? And it was just Thursday that he did the Oval Office address.
Because it was never China.
Well, of course it was never China, but that hasn't stopped him before. He said that it's everybody and their mother that's been, fucking with the elections, except somehow he still manages to win. I don't know. Guy bothers me. Epstein situation. That's terrible. I don't mean Epstein situation. That sounded light. We have a new Epstein survivor who's come forward to tell her story to CNN. Rosa, is it Gillis?
Gillis, yeah.
Yeah. Described her harrowing experience with the late sex offender, with the abuse starting when she was an 18-year-old model. A lot of headlines recently about this, obviously with Todd Blanche being on the Hill. Now more news that the Gates Foundation met with Epstein around 30 times. Are we heading for a tipping point?
No, I hesitate to say tipping point in all of this because I mean, it's been 30 plus years. So, and there have been these so-called tipping points throughout all the 30 years. I wouldn't say tipping point. I would say we're kind of moving further along in the process. It's really, I mean, justice delayed is not justice denied. And I think justice has been severely delayed and it will continue to be delayed, but that doesn't mean it'll be denied. I think what is significant with Rose's testimony is that it shows that survivors are willing to come forward more and willing to share their stories more after years of not doing so. And the only reason many of them are able to even do that is because of the Survivor Sister coalition that really has been formed, right? I mean, they found each other and they've realized how similar all of their stories are, whether in New York or Florida or New Mexico or anywhere else where abuse occurred. And so no, I don't think it's a tipping point, but I do think it's another step in the right direction. I think ultimately Todd Blanche will probably be confirmed. I do. I think Republicans fall in line and I think they confirm him. But just because he is confirmed does not mean that the fight stops. In fact, I think it is significant that Blanche even sat down with the survivors. Now, he gaslit them and was rude to them. And
It
I
sounds like
mean,
it was
it
awful.
was an awful meeting, full stop. But the fact that he was pressured to even have that meeting in the first place after telling Congress he legally can't, lying under oath, I thought was a big move. Was a big move. So I think we'll continue to see that, and just needs to keep the pressure on as much as possible between now and 2028.
What do you make of it's reported, I think just in CNN thus far, this model recruiter, Daniel Syed, who introduced young women to Jeffrey Epstein. He was found dead at his home in France. Do you think it's linked to this, or?
I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but it is interesting to me that everyone dies of cardiac arrest associated with Epstein. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is like when people told me that I was nuts about Lindsey Graham and that it was the Russians. And I was like, he's with Zelensky 24 hours before. Oh, you think I'm nuts? Yes,
No,
this is one. Yeah, I am nuts about this one.
I don't think you're nuts. I think there's a reason why the FBI was swarming Lindsey Graham's house the day after he died, but that's just me.
I mean, I think Kash was denied a trip on the jet to go see his girlfriend, so he was like, we might as well do something here.
Yeah, that's true.
We are going to talk about Lindsey Graham, but first, I want to talk about Kash Patel. Reports that he is going to be making a trip to Russia in October. It's unusual for an FBI director to visit an adversary of the U.S. He'll likely be hosted by the successor organization to the Soviet Union's KGB. What is going on? Like, how is it? I understand that our administration loves to trash Zelensky or whatever else, but like, do you remember when Witkoff came back from meeting with Putin and had apparently said, I don't even need the translator, and told us that he was just a really nice guy? Like, imagine how bad it's going to be with Kash Patel sitting there.
Yes. Kash Patel is like the perfect honeypot victim, right? Like, he is the perfect one to go after, to get him a little drunk, have some beers in the locker room, and then extract intelligence out of him. I mean, that like the FSB is literally salivating at the fact that Kash Patel is coming over, and the fact that he's coming over 2 weeks before the election, it just all is, again, reeks of corruption and a mess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's going over there to tell the Russians, help us out. We have an election coming up in a couple of weeks. Help us out.
Maybe they have some orphans that we could adopt.
Yeah, maybe.
Remember that from the Trump Tower meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. I was thinking maybe they could set up like a podcast studio so he feels very at home, and like fly in Dan Bongino, and they could all just sit around shooting the shit.
Wouldn't that be funny?
It would be. I don't know how this thing goes through, though. This feels like the kind of thing that like old school Republicans kind of stand up and say this absolutely can't happen. I also thought that Trump was not into Kash Patel anymore.
I thought he wasn't either, but somehow he stuck around. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think it's because Kash is like terrified of Trump. Trump says, get off the tarmac, come subpoena New York Times journalists. He runs and he subpoenas them, right? Like, I don't know. I think Kash is just, what is it? An alley boy? No, whatever. Like he'll just do anything Trump says. Trump will say jump. Kash will say how high.
Yeah. Wait, was that like a new age lingo thing that you couldn't even remember, or are you trying to think of like an old term?
I was thinking of something that you would say to like your friends, and
like in ye old England or something like that.
Yeah, like whatever the Gen Xers say.
I'm not an Xer. I'm an elder millennial, peak elder millennial,
Peak.
a fine generation, a wonderful generation. Politically
Indeed.
speaking, I'm hope and change. You guys are just like garbage. What's going on with your
We're
generation?
making great again.
Yeah. I want to talk about Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene. She was appointed to Graham's seat. She's going to be running for the full shebang. There'll be a special election August 11th. I saw Jim Clyburn, posting a very enthusiastic tweet about her, saying she's the first woman and HBCU graduate to represent South Carolina in the Senate. People are knocking her inexperience. I am one of those people. Should note, though, that she was the commissioner of South Carolina's Commission for the Blind. People are looking into her tenure there. I thought it was interesting. She did a big sit-down interview with Hannity, who obviously is, very friendly towards her. But she did break with her brother a bit and said basically he talks about foreign policy too much. Or he did talk about foreign policy too much. I want to talk about the price of groceries, the price of gas, healthcare, insurance. It's going to be a crowded field. Russell Fry, Ralph Norman, Mark Lynch, Duke Buckner. They're already announced. Nancy Mace won't be jumping in. Do you think Darlene has a real shot at winning the full term she has Trump's backing?
Yeah, I think she'll win. I don't think it'll be close. I mean,
That's so crazy to me. And she's
Trump's
old
backing.
too.
Yeah, she has Trump's backing. She has Graham's last name. I mean, and I don't know how Republicans in South Carolina don't vote for Lindsey Graham's sister after he just passed away. I don't. I mean, I think she'll win. I think she'll sweep the field pretty easily, and I think she's going to win in November as well. I think that she's going to ride this wave, and she's going to be the next senator from South Carolina. Although Dr. Annie Andrews is great, it's such an uphill battle in South Carolina. I don't see a path forward over there.
Yeah, and we have spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to unseat a Graham. Yeah. I should say now that we're going to have another one. Sure. But I don't know. There are a lot more qualified people who are, equally MAGA or whatever people need as a threshold. Last thing, the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner is coming up on Friday. More than 500 veteran and former journalists are urging the White House Correspondents Association to publicly condemn the Trump administration's escalating attacks on the press and the First Amendment. You were boycotting the first one. Is your boycott still in place for this one?
It is. You can't go. I don't know. I have very little time for myself, and there is nothing that I want to do less than sit in a room of 2,000 people. Sometimes AC doesn't even really work that well. Listen to the president bash the media. That just doesn't sound fun to me or appealing to me. And so, no, I would not go. I don't think we should be celebrating a president who has attacked the First Amendment. It's a night to celebrate the media and allowing the president to come. CBS is inviting Brendan Carr. Allowing these people to come just doesn't celebrate the media at all. So no, I will not be going. I will be boycotting it, and I will be watching it at home, and we'll see if there's any action.
Well, I'm sure we'll get some breaking news videos from you during that. Before we take questions, which have been streaming in, thank you guys so much. Any takeaways from the results from Arizona? So it'll be Andy Biggs against Katie Hobbs for the gubernatorial race.
Yeah,
DSA candidates didn't win in the Democratic primaries.
Actually, I think my biggest takeaway is that DSA candidates overperformed in Democratic primaries. Kai Newkirk was never supposed to beat Greg Stanton. He raised, I think, $5,000 he spent of his own money. Stan spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Newkirk was still able to secure 30% of the vote. That's a lot for a candidate who's not really known, who's run for the first time, doesn't have any infrastructure. And I think Greg Stanton should be on notice in 2028 that the seat could very well flip in a primary if he doesn't change kind of his route in the Congress. So I think that is something that I saw. I also think that all of Trump's candidates won, which means that if you have Republicans sweep in Arizona, which I don't think will happen, you're going to have the person who led the charge to overturn the Arizona results in 2020, leading the Secretary of State's office. And I think a lot of people should be very nervous about that. But I think it cuts both ways because I think these are the worst candidates. And I think it's easier for someone like Katie Hobbs to beat Andy Biggs rather than David Schweiker, for example. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this will be the first election denier on a ballot with this level of importance. And like you said, who would actually oversee, the counting of ballots
Correct.
and making sure that our elections aren't meddled with, or that people are bringing fake claims of election tampering. And they did try that even yesterday, saying that there were problems again, like in Maricopa County, which there weren't. It was a safe vote, as frankly it always is. Okay, questions. Diane asks, why can't Andy Bashir visit Mitch McConnell in the hospital?
No one can visit Mitch McConnell in the hospital. It's because his health care is protected by HIPAA. So if Mitch McConnell doesn't want visitors, no one, not even the governor of his state, President Trump, can't force his way into that room.
Okay, I think she wanted more than that. Like, because Mitch McConnell is dead, or because like Mitch McConnell is brain dead, or, add some flavor here, Aaron.
Well, you saw the proof of life image.
I also saw a video of you dancing as Mitch McConnell too. So, are you on team Andy Bashir has to get more aggressive? Because I am seeing that bubbling up online where people are not having it, that he's essentially, using normal communication channels and saying, I've reached out and I need a response, versus like, I'm in charge of this state and I'm going to use everything in my power.
I mean, I don't know what else he can really do. He doesn't have much power. I think people are just angry at him because he's leading the state and he's a Democratic governor, but like he's doing, in my opinion, everything he can be doing. So I'm kind of just like, let's see what happens.
Okay. You didn't get much flavor then when I even went back for more. Okay. Kara wants to know, why aren't Democrats doing a midterms convention like the Republicans?
I don't think Democrats have money for a midterms convention. I think that's
we have no centralized money. It's crazy that Ken Martin's like saying anything when we have like $2.2 million and they have 128 million or something in the RNC.
I don't think they can afford a midterm convention. I don't think they'll be able to raise money for a midterm convention. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Democrats need a midterm convention, because what a midterm convention will do is it'll just put Democratic infighting on full display. And it'll explode. Right now, just let the Republicans do their thing. They're doing a midterm convention in Texas to try to save Ken Paxton. This is not, they need it to try to win. Democrats, I don't think, need a midterm convention.
Yeah. Ken Paxton also yesterday refusing to answer a question that he doesn't like because it's like one syllable off of what he intended to talk about, was quite a sight. Democrats, though, do have money, just not the institutions. The fundraising halls for like Tallarico and Ossoff, doesn't Ossoff have like over $90 million or something like that?
He's gearing up for 2028. Yeah.
I know, he's so good. We didn't even mention that, by the way, in the Pete Hegseth grilling, but like I could watch John Ossoff question cabinet secretaries until I die, which is soon, because I'm an elder millennial.
Why, Jessica? What? Why, Jessica? Is it because he's good? He's good to look at.
Yeah, he's like, and like a hot Jewish guy. That is my type. I didn't marry it. Love Brian. And it's okay that I married out because the babies are still Jewish because they're mine. Okay. Anyway, Eric John asks, we're almost a year from Cheryl and Spanberger's elections as governors. Do you think Democrats can run using those states as positive examples for a blueprint for the future? Give them a grade.
I think it depends on the state. I think it's tough.
Okay. New Jersey and Virginia. He gave you the states.
He gave me the states. I think, yes, Democrats can run in Virginia and New Jersey on Cheryl and Spanberger's blueprint. But I think both Spanberger and Cheryl have had some big issues of being too kind of normie since taking office. Cheryl, when it came to Delaney Hall, not sure. I thought it was a stain on her legacy to try to go into Delaney Hall and be told by federal officials you can't get in. Like, as the governor of the state, if you're going to show up, you got to be able to get in. And she had no authority. I think it was a stain on Spanberger's legacy that she has kind of allowed this data center issue to explode uncontrollably in Virginia. And her fights with the Democrats in the legislature aren't helping. So I think that they need to be a little more bold and a little less conservative.
Okay. So like B's?
Like C pluses.
Oh, I'm very in the Harvard grade inflation model. Like if I got a C plus, I would.
I'm not an Ivy League. person.
I
so
mean,
don't-
I'm not either. I just,
I mean, I didn't get an Oxford PhD either.
me either. Mine's from LSE.
Oh.
On that note, pre-order my book, I Disagree, and tune in next Wednesday for another edition of Raging Perspective. Thank you to everyone.